What's going on? Welcome to Asian Cosell. So I have one here by Megan Moon. And yeah, this is part two of living in Korea versus USA and more things that she missed in America. And I'm going to react to it to see if I missed the same things too. And we'll have to compare. So here we go. So let's get into the video. So here we go.
aka Talent 미국 사람입니다. And as you know, I've been in Korea for 13 years now. And last week I made a video on stuff that I missed from America. Let's get started with part two. Just like in the previous one, we're going to get started on some lighter ones first. The first thing that I missed from the USA is freaking big towels. If you live in Korea, I am 100% sure that you can agree with this. But when you go to places and just in general, people use these small ass towels. They're literally like the towels that you might just use to dry your hands in the USA to like take the showers and like dry off their whole body. You know how when we get out of the shower, you want to take the towel and wrap yourself in it. It's just so nice and warm. In Korea, a lot of people don't do that. They just have this little ass towel and then they just want to wipe off their body. So when you go to some hotels, swimming pools, to the spa, to the gym, places where you go and you have to take a shower, they only give you these little tiny towels. So I typically just bring my own. And if you do want to find big towels, they typically don't sell them like at the local marts. You might have to go to like a place that actually sells just towels to go and get like the really nice, big, luxurious ones. So when we moved into our new house, my husband actually ordered some big, luxurious towels and he got, the Moon family engraved on it. So sweet. But it's so funny. He doesn't use them. My husband thinks it's weird to use a big towel. He's like, just use a small one. You're just wiping your body off. And I'm like, I want to engulf myself in this towel after the shower, especially in the winter when it's kind of cold. So the next thing that I missed from the US.
Okay, yeah. That's a big thing. The towels. I remember. Of course, I have a couple big towels because in case I have a buddy that comes by, I'm like, "Yo, got you a big towel. Use this one." Because yeah, every towel is so small and miniature. So yeah.
Say is definitely personal space. Just space in general. I mean, I
Mhm.
drive and parking spaces are so incredibly small that you can't actually open the door fully at all. So if you're somebody who has some girth on you, I can imagine that it'd be hard for you to get out of the car because even me, I have a hard time getting out of the car with just my fake boobs. Sometimes gotta squeeze like this. When I was pregnant with my twin belly, not a chance in hell I'm even getting a part of myself out of that door. But luckily, because I drive a Ford Explorer, the back seats can go down. So literally, I had to climb out of the trunk. And even not being pregnant, there was a few times I had to climb out of the trunk. And because our kids still need car seats and they're on either side of the car, when I'm taking them to school, I have to always just park like an asshole in between two parking spaces like this so nobody comes next to me, just so I can get them out of school and get them both in each side of the car. I mean, I'm only there for like, 5 minutes, so it's fine. But typically, there's not enough. So if you're new and
Yeah.
you don't know my skincare routine, let's go over it
So,
together. You guys know I typically
so
use
I
the green
gotta
tea
pass this
enzymatic
one.
powder wash. Helps to soothe the flaky dead instantly better. And lastly, I go in pores and literally you put it on your face at night. I like it because it has a very fire set. This time we're also including an option to get the right. Let it work its magic, peel it off. Can I go in and
There you
still
go.
allow for everyone to have this amount of space? If not, we say it's too crowded
Mhm.
and then we might wait for the next one. But in Korea, they don't. They were like, look, is there a space I can squish in? I'm going to squish in. And then everybody just gets squished together. So you're literally
Yeah.
like this with people all around you, touching you on either side. You can't even pull your hand up. So you have to have your hands up before you get in like this with your phone. So you could like be looking at your phone like this. So that's why you really got to avoid rush hour. And another reason why it makes me feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable, something like this, it happened happened once to me, but I know that it's happened to some other people I've heard as well. But when we're crowded in the subway and you're literally touching people on all sides, when we were on there, I felt something touching my butt. And I was like, it's probably someone's bag, because women, our bags typically are at like butt level. My bag sometimes will touch a woman's butt and then she'll look and then see that it's the bag and then it's fine when it's less crowded. But when it's super crowded, if something's touching your butt, you can't even move to like see what it is. So one time I was in the subway and something was on my butt. Everything is everywhere. There are people's bags and body parts everywhere right now. So I couldn't really focus on it. But then right as the door was about to open fully, somebody like actually grabbed the butt and like caressed it. And then the sea of people just pushed the subway and then went away. So I could never like see who it was. And I was like, oh, okay, that's gross. All right. Butt touching in the subway. But because the CCTV is up high, it's not like you could really see who it was. But yes, that traumatized me. And I was like, well, I'm going to take Texas from now on. But on top of that, in the realm of space, I guess we can talk about spatial awareness. When people are walking and going about their business, they'll just like stop and block a walkway and not really care about the people behind them, or like going up an escalator. Somebody will stop at the top of the escalator and just like look at their phone or something. There's people behind you.
Drives me nuts.
Get out the way. And then pushing, people literally just push you out of the way to get where they're going. And that used to bother me a lot, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to push these people back. And probably for like a good 3 years or so when I first came here, I always was saying sorry if I bumped into someone. And then it sort of got exhausting. So it's understandable. When you live in the big city in Korea where you're bumping into people, you're going to have to be saying sorry all day. So I do understand why people don't do it, because it was exhausting for me. After 3 years, I was like, okay, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Get your line back on. Out of the way. And that, folks, is why I decided to move to Paju, out in the countryside.
Yep, I do get that. Yeah, when you bump into people, you're like, sorry, all right, because that's what we do in the States. But yeah, I get it.
So I wouldn't have to deal with that, because it can be difficult after a while. Just even how society is laid out, like everything is centralized in certain areas, all tight together. Or even in the countryside, there's like nothing, rice fields, and then like 5 apartment buildings just all stacked up together. Actually, when we were in the US in Fayetteville, Georgia, where my family lives, it was like a whole street with nothing, and there was just one house. And my husband was like, why is there just one house like on this road with all of this space? He thought it was weird that someone would just want to have a house not surrounded by other houses. So another thing that I miss is garlic bread that's not sweet. If you've been in Korea any amount of time, you know that garlic bread is always sweet. And they got me the first few times I was here. I was like, garlic bread at Paris baguette. Let me try it. Okay, there's sugar
Sweet.
on it. Okay, got it. Didn't eat that one. Go to the tous les jours. Garlic bread. This is surely gonna be the garlic bread.
Sweet.
It's sweet. Okay, not tous les jours. Let me try some other coffee shop. All of them are sweet. Every single bakery you go to, and there's garlic bread. It is sprinkled with sugar. And just in general, a lot of things that we typically will enjoy savory flavors for in Korea are laced with sugar. Can I tell you the amount of times when I first came here, the first few years, that I bit into something wholly expecting that it was going to be savory, only to find out that it was laced with sugar. Even potato chips, like there was these truffle potato chips, like a new truffle potato chip flavor that came out. And I was like, oh, sweet is truffle. It's not going to be sweet. And then I bit it and it was sweet. And I go on the back of the bag, 16 grams of sugar in a bag of potato chips that is truffle flavored, sweet truffle flavored chips. It was gross. I cannot. And I also miss vinegary flavors. A lot of the snacks that we have in the US have a lot of like citric acid or like, acidic notes. Salt and vinegar chips, for example, most Korean people I know don't like those. And a lot of Korean people, when they try American snacks, complain that they are actually too vinegary. And then one thing that I also noticed is that a lot of sweet, like baked goods in Korea don't really have salt with it. Like, when you make cookies, you got to put the salt in it because it sort of enhances the sweet and gives more depth overall to the cookie. But like in Korea, if you get cookies, it's just sweet. Like there's no salt flavor in it. And a lot of the times they don't use like real good, like salt.
Yeah, and like for example, the Cheetos and of course the Cool Ranch Doritos. Yeah, Cool Ranch is not even around here at all. I don't know if I can even get it if I knew someone in the military, but yeah, I every year I go to America, I bring Cool Ranch Doritos and Cheetos from the States. I just can't handle the Cheetos in Korea.
Salted butter in the baked goods so you don't get that deep fatty flavor. So I find myself, if I do buy stuff in Korea, I just sprinkle some little salt on it. So good. I got some smoked bourbon salt at my house. It is so good on like chocolate brownies, chocolate chip cookies. I made these chocolate brownie bars, smoked bourbon salt. So good.
That's it. And advertise for biking.
And the last thing that I really miss from the USA, I would say, is more optimism. Here, I've just noticed overall, people tend to be a bit more negative about certain things. So if you bring up something with your friends, like, oh, I think I want to try this or do this, a lot of times people's first reaction will be, oh, that's too difficult, or, oh, can you do that? Or, oh, that won't work out because you need to do X, Y, or Z. Well, I do think it's nice to be realistic about certain things. I think sort of the way that people talk to you here sort of shuts you down and make you feel like you don't want to do anything at all. And I feel like just overall, there's a lot less people encouraging you to go after the things that you want to try. I think for us, if somebody says, hey, I want to get into this field of work, we'll ask questions like, oh, really? Like, what made you want to do that? Or, have you always been interested in it? I feel like we ask more questions and start up a conversation, and then we figure out why that person wants to do it. And then we listen to their plan. And then if we feel like there's a little bit of feedback, we sort of throw it in to sort of like try and help out a little bit. But I think our first reaction is just to, hey, you do you. If you think that's what you want to do with your life, go for it. But I just feel like in Korea, people are more like, instead of asking you about it and striking up conversation about it, or just like straight away, whatever they think about it. Yeah, maybe that's not a good idea. Oh, well, that sounds difficult. And, oh.
Yeah, that's why I just don't really, especially with Koreans, I don't tell them what I do. Like, for example, I have like, there's golf, golf in Korea. And then I have something called the fling golf, which is, kind of like a lacrosse stick, but it's a golf stick with a little flinger. And then I just fling the ball instead of, hitting the ball 180 yards. I just like fling it. So, yeah, I just don't tell people. I do bring it around and they go, what is that? Oh, you just fling it. But that's the conversation.
Maybe not. It just seems like the response is a little bit more on the negative side. So sometimes when you talk to too many people here about doing a certain thing, they actually talk you out of doing it, and you sort of feel less confident about trying it. And at the same time, you also sort of feel judged for thinking of even trying something new. And just in general, the vibe in Korea, I feel like people aren't really excited about the future. We know that the birth rate is super low in Korea, and there's videos coming out like Kyrgyzstan. They made a video and it was called South Korea is over, basically. And it went super viral. And all the Korean people were like, yep, we knew it. Nothing we can do about it. And so overall, there tends to just be this more defeatist attitude, and people are just sort of going about their daily lives without any hope for the future. And I find it to be really sad. So I do feel like here, if you are someone who's somewhat positive like myself, like you really have to keep it going yourself and make sure that you surround yourself with people who are more positive. Because one thing I have noticed is you don't really realize it, but you really are impacted by the people around you. So if I find myself having more just negative thoughts about the future and whatnot, then I really think about the last few conversations I've had about it. And if they've been negative, that's typically why. And so I really have to make an effort to hype myself up and be like, you know what, things are going to be okay. And make sure that I'm surrounded by people who are hopeful for the future. And just to add to that, one thing I have also noticed is that a lot of people here really just lack confidence in general. There's so many people I've talked to who want to try something new. But as I just said, whenever they bring it up to people, they're like, you're silly. Like, why would you want to do that? Just keep doing what you're doing, studying in college and being a lawyer or whatever job it is that people think you should have. So a lot of people here are not really encouraged to pursue things that they enjoy.
Correct.
And I know it's not realistic for everyone to be doing everything that they do enjoy. You just got to get a job sometimes and make it happen. But people I know who, for example, just wanted to be artists and they just want to open up a little art school, teach, art to kids. They just want to live a simpler life. People tend to look down on that, and they really had to fight to get it done. So if you know anybody or see like small art places, just know that those people literally probably had a fight with their family in order to make something like that happen. happen. So I have even more respect for those people who do that here, because in a society like this, it's not easy to sort of break out and just sort of do your own thing and not go like with the flow. So those were some more things that I feel like I missed from the USA. Let me know yours down below, even if you're not from the USA, just things that you miss from your home country. And you don't even have to be living in Korea. Just if you're somebody who's an immigrant such as myself and you live in a different country, what are some things that you miss in your country? I'm curious to know, because it's so interesting to talk to other people who are also immigrants and like hear about their experiences, etc. So make sure you don't miss out on the skincare routine. We won't be doing the sale again until November. It's such a great deal. And we've added some extra options where you can get the Rice Glow Peel Off.
Okay, so yeah, yeah, I do think about that too. So yeah, and of course the sweetness. Oh my goodness, it just gets to me. So yeah. All right. So if any of you enjoyed any of this content, please give me the HKO special. Help the king out. Hit the like, subscribe, and comment. And shout out to Megan Moon for putting out this video. All right. So I'm out, and take care and goodbye.